Welcome back. A heartbreaking murder trial gripping not only Massachusetts, but really the entire country. A critical phase yesterday. So day 4 in this trial, they were able to take the jury to go visit the family home. They were there for about an hour, walked through the home, saw the window that the mother herself, Lindsay Clancy, jumped out of. But Lindsay Clancy accused of strangling her 3 young children, 5-year-old Cora, 3-year-old Dawson, and 8-month-old Callan in January of 2023. So Lindsay allegedly suffered postpartum psychosis, struggling with intrusive thoughts and depression. Her defendants claim she was overmedicated. 10 different prescriptions she was prescribed at the time, allegedly was on a cocktail of medications prior to the killing of her children.
So Lindsay checked herself into a psychiatric hospital and was discharged 19 days before she killed her children. The trial is going to hinge on whether Lindsay's mental state had any influence on her actions. Her ex-husband, Patrick, accuses medical providers of improper diagnosis. So for more, we're going to welcome in forensic psychiatrist and expert witness Dr. Carol Lieberman. So, doctor, I want to start with you. Have you seen postpartum psychosis this extreme before?
Yes. There have really been a lot of incidents. I remember one where a mother went home with her baby and the dog, she allowed the dog, she wasn't watching the baby carefully, and she allowed the dog to eat the baby's face, basically. Anyway, Lindsay, from what we've heard and what we've seen about her, she is the latest example of collateral damage from a dysfunctional mental health system. And really, it's a very sad story, of course, but this should bring attention to all of these things that are going on. This polypharmacy, she did have, in my opinion, she did have postpartum psychosis and she did have depression, but she also had this polypharmacy, all of these different medications that interacted with each other and made the whole situation worse.
So, doctor, you kind of touched upon this before. Lindsay was prescribed over 10 different antidepressant and anxiety medications. So, could this cocktail of drugs have had any effect on her mental state? And if so, what kind of effects?
Absolutely. First of all, these different medications interact with each other and prevent some of the healthy things, some of the good things that they're for, from happening, and also, make worse things and also bring more side effects. The interesting thing, though, in addition to all of this, is her husband. He has been giving things that are both helpful to Lindsay and things that are very subtly, things that are not helpful. Clearly, in addition to her postpartum psychosis, and it doesn't take away from that, but clearly there were problems in the marriage. He hasn't seen her since the crime. He moved to New York. He did very little in terms of helping her get the treatment that she needed. She went to some women's clinic or whatever, and he went skiing with their son. She went to another hospital, again, briefly. They didn't keep her there. She was only in the women's clinic for a day. And then McLean, and he visited her, he said, 3 times out of the 5 days. And he wasn't involved with her at all. And then he said, when she was asked, did she take all the pills? And he said, well, I think so. I didn't watch her. There are very subtle things that he's saying that are really putting down her defense. He was both on the list of the defense and the prosecution. So, they both have civil suits against the doctors, the treaters, which I think they certainly should win. She got horrible treatment. But it's very interesting to see the subtleties. Like he was asked, did she hear voices telling her to kill the kids? Well, no, they were interior, really subtle kinds of things. And so I hope that doesn't do her in.
Yeah, to your point, she was seeking her own medical help, even telling her husband she was depressed and experiencing suicidal thoughts. She was then discharged from the psychiatric hospital 19 days before she killed her children.
Well, Dr. Carol Lieberman and Nicole Brunecki, thank you so much for joining us this morning.